My name is Sergio, and this is my Saleen.
My name is Sergio. I have a 97 Mustang Cobra and a 2005 Mustang Saleen. My first car was my first Mustang. Was a 93 Calypso Green Coupe, and that's where I got my driver license. That's where I learned how to drive, and that's my first car. I was around cars since I was born. My grandpa has a big auto body shop in Mexico. My dad's always had more than one car, and I mean, ever since I can remember, I was hooked onto them. So my current car, I did a glass roof on it. Just put a Saleen Extreme Wing, which is a supercharged version, because mine is a non-supercharged Saleen. A shaker hood, and then I got sponsored by Raxium, so I have the headlights on it. My dream car is a 10th anniversary Cobra, a Termi. Preferably black with the red interior, and I've actually seen one, driven one, and have a friend that has one. Me and my wife actually hang out with this crew called Mustang Performance, which is only Mustangs. They have all kinds of Mustangs there, all bodies, all styles. Once I technically raced, I don't know, I don't remember, it was a Civic hatch or it was a coupe. It was like a 90 something. We're racing on Octane Lore, and more or less around Stillman, there's a street from a neighborhood. A cop pulled out. He immediately turned his lights on, and we didn't slow down. We're driving down, going towards military, and I remember that he turned his lights on and he hauled ass behind us. Luckily, I had an aunt that lived around the corner, probably like half a mile down. All I did was floor it, kept on going. I immediately turned. I remember it was a left turn, and a left turn real quick, all the way to the end. She has a house that her driveway is on the side, but she made a little porch so you can go straight through. Remember, still I went straight through and parked the car behind her house, and that's how I guess ran away from the cops. But ever since that day, I haven't had anything crazy like that. I remember once I came out of the news on spring break when I had my first car. I was a junior. I went on a senior skip day. My mom used to work in a loan place. She used to be a manager in this loan place. So they had the news on, and it was spring break, and I remember me and my friends went to the island. Well, it was my first car, which is a Calypso Green. That color is not that common. So we went out there. I randomly get a phone call, and my mom tells me where I'm at, and I told her I was at home, that I left out of school early. And she asked me if I was sure, and I said yeah. So she told me to turn to the left, that there was somebody there. So when I turned to the left, it was actually the news, and they were live broadcasting the hour wait to go over the bridge, and my car came up, and that's how my mom caught me that I went skipping from school. Me and my wife would always do car parts. She even has a scar to it. We dropped down a tank from a Mustang I had. Dropped down the tank. I had already started working to change the fuel pump. I had a single fuel pump, and at that time I was on spray. I had a single fuel pump, and it was already giving out when I would put the spray on. It kind of bogged. So we bought I bought two Walbros 255 fuel pumps. We dropped the tank down, put the fuel pumps in, but we didn't connect them. We picked up the tank, the car wouldn't start. So we had to drop the tank back down. We dropped it down. Right next to my dad's house, there's a big lemon tree. Excuse me. There's a big lemon tree, and I told her to pull I told her to get me some sockets. So she got out, and we're out there, and she got a big cut on her thigh, and she still has that scar today. And every time she sees it, she's like, "Remember when I used to do all this stuff with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you still have the scar to show it, to prove that you would actually help me and do all these crazy stuff with me." When I was graduating from school, my dad told me if I graduated, he was going to upgrade me to a V8. And me, I wanted the best at that time, which was, to me, was a Shelby. And I wanted a Shelby or something with a better name than just a regular Mustang. I was at the dealership, at the Ford dealership, and they had this orange grabber, yellow, I don't know what it's called, Shelby with 2 stripes. It was really, really clean. It had like 20,000 miles. It was garage owned. That's when the 13, 14 Shelbys came out, or the GT350s, one of those 2. He traded it in, and he bought the new Shelby. I think it was the same color, yellow as well, with the white stripes. So when I get there, I was 18, 19 at the latest. I pull up on my little car. I had my red XL95. They look at me and they look at a young kid that couldn't afford it. And of course, I couldn't afford it personally, but it was going to be a gift. And they never let me test drive it. So they told me that they had another car in the same dealership somewhere else. So they told me if I wanted to go see it. I went to go see it, and I just saw it from a distance. It was a 2005 Saleen, not supercharged, clean interior, clean everything. It only had, I think, like 60,000 miles when I went to go see it. The only thing is they made me wait because somebody was actually looking at it, and they were about to apply to see if they can finance it. When I was there, a friend of my dad's that worked at the Ford dealership told me, "No, we can go test drive it." And by the way, my dad had already done an application online. He just had to go sign the papers and see the car for himself. And he told me if I like it, that he was going to send them some money through a wire transfer. Back then there was a Capital One. We had Capital One, which was right next to the Ford dealership at that time. And we went back to the Shelby, and there was this older gentleman looking at it. He test drove it, they parked it on the other dealership, on the other Ford dealership, and he bought it. So they bought the Shelby and they bought the Saleen. I went home empty-handed. About 6 months or a year later, the guy posted it for sale. He was having a baby, and he wanted something more family. But at that time, he wanted it paid off. And he wanted, I think, he owed like 22. He owed like 22, and at that point, my parents were going through, they split up. There was not a divorce yet, they were on the process. So I didn't bug my dad about it. I didn't tell him anything. I just let it happen. A couple years later, I'm already married to my wife right now. It comes out for sale again. He wants 12 grand, supposedly cash. I called him and I told him that I had 3 grand down, and he owed, I think, like 7 grand, 8 grand. But his payment was like, I think, like a week away or 2 weeks away. So I ended up giving him, I think, like 3 grand down, plus the payment. And I just paid off the car probably about 6 months ago. It's totally clean under my name. Nothing, no problem. Well, it does have a misfire, but other than that, it's still running, and my son loves it. That's supposedly his car now. He's 2, and wherever he wants to go out, that's the car he wants to take. It gives me like 6 miles per gallon, crap gas mileage, misfires like crazy, but I mean, I ended up with that car after so long when it was meant to be. And to me, people need to respect the spots whenever somebody posted something, and whenever they say no burning out, no burning out, just respect something that doesn't belong to you, so we can keep on going and we don't get kicked out of places or have a bad name for ourselves. It all goes down that we can't have a meet without cops pulling up, or people thinking that we're gonna race right away or have something that just not what it is. I have my Instagram, which is svtcheco, svt.checo. That's my IG.